The other concept that we need to touch on briefly is the concept of being in the spirit, because we might confuse being in the spirit with entering the spiritual realm. There is a difference between being in the spirit and entering the spiritual realm. The reason for that is, like I said before, the spiritual realm is open to both the children of God and it's open to the children of the enemy. The kingdom of darkness participates freely in the spiritual realm, but that doesn't mean that they're in the spirit. Now, in the spirit, it really talks about being in the Holy Spirit, being empowered by the Holy Spirit to do certain things, um, to do the things that we need to do on earth, to live our lives as Christians. And we are supposed to live our lives in the spirit. In other words, we do everything in the spirit according to the Holy Spirit, is led by the Holy Spirit, is guided by him. So we are charged in the scriptures many times to pray in the spirit in Ephesians 6:18, pray in the Holy Spirit also in Jude 1:20, walk in the spirit Galatians 5:25, worship in the spirit Philippians 3 verse 3. Now it seems then that the generation of believers in the early church were quite familiar with those concepts. They all knew what it meant to pray in the spirit, to walk in the spirit, to worship in the spirit. But that seems to have been lost over the generations of believers. A lot of times we do things and we think we are doing it in the spirit, but there is a certain, but that's not correct. Being in the spirit is real. There is a difference between praying out of the spirit and praying in the spirit. There's a big difference. If you've never experienced the switch that happens when the Holy Spirit starts praying through you, you might not understand what I'm talking about. There is a difference to just worshiping and worshiping in the spirit. There is a big difference. So what this course is going to train you is to learn to position yourself to be in the spirit before you do anything else, before you worship, before you pray, before you do anything. That's very important. So there are two concepts there that I don't want us to get mixed up on. Being in the spirit as a lifestyle, because we are charged to live a lifestyle of being in the spirit. Everything that we do, we give in the spirit. We love our neighbor in the spirit. There is that element. Then there is an element of learning to position yourself before the Lord and being in the spirit before the heavens can be opened before you. A good example of that is what happened to John in the book of Revelation. John says in the book of Revelation, I was in the spirit on the Lord's day, and then the heavens opened. Then all these things started to happen. So that is the second aspect of being in the spirit that we need to understand and learn. So this course is going to train you to be in the spirit. And in that place, then the Holy Spirit can interact with you freely. Heavens can be opened before you. The Lord can show you things that you never ever thought you would ever see before. The Lord will take you places. There are many places in the spiritual realm. There are so many things that the Lord wants to show you in the realms of the spirit. It's not just for special people in the Bible. So it's not just for special people in the church today. It's a privilege that we have been given as the children of God. As long as you're a born again believer and you are one with Christ, you have access to having heavens open before you in the spirit. And at the same time, you should be learning how to do everything in the spirit. That's why we are charged to pray in the spirit and worship in the spirit, because we don't do it enough. But operating in the spirit is very common in certain parts of the church. If you look at the Chinese church, for example, the Chinese underground church, they have church services where even whole groups of children will be praying and worshiping together, and they are all taken up in the spirit and they enter into heaven. They experience heaven, they visit mansions, they even see each other in heaven, and then at the end of the prayer they share those experiences together. And it's more common there than in our churches, because we haven't been taught that we have full access into the heavenly realm now. So those churches have understood how to position themselves first before the Lord in the spirit, and then certain things start to happen, like being taken into the heavenly places and stuff. And all that is available for you and me.